Amy is with me today, and um, she came up with this really great idea of wanting to do a little Q&A. So I agreed. So today is March 27th, 2023. So Amy, tell me all those questions you want to ask me. No.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I am a client. My husband, my entire family, I think, has had a reading with you. And we always talk about, gosh, I wish we could ask her this. I wish we could ask her that. And I used to be in radio at Go Country 105 in Los Angeles. And we would constantly be interviewing actors and musicians. And I just thought, why don't I put that old hobby to use and ask you some awesome questions that I think a lot of people might also have. So thank you so much for, agreeing to do this. And you want to just
Love
dive
it.
right in? I have a long list here.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. And we're just doing this off the cuff. So
Yes. So
hopefully I
I
can
did
answer your
ask,
questions the way you want.
yes. So I did ask a couple of friends and family. I did tell them I'm interviewing Monica, the medium, and what if you could ask her anything, what would it be? And number one was this one. Have you always been a medium? And if not, how did it come about? How did you develop it? And did it ever scare you in the beginning? Were you like, oh my gosh, what is this thing?
Yeah. So I've always had abilities growing up as far as I always felt the presence of other people walking beside me that I couldn't see, but I felt. So always in the mall with my girlfriends, in sleepovers at my friends, different things. I always just felt people with me. And crazy enough, I never thought anything about it. So no, it never scared me at all. I never even thought about it, to be honest. It was just kind of normal for me. Um, so no, it didn't really like as far as like really connecting with spirit as far as communication, it didn't happen really until I was an adult. So I kind of started a spiritual journey, and it kind of just opened things up. But did it ever scare me as an adult? Yes, one time. And it was really my own spiritual team that worked with me. It was my spiritual team that were trying to get my attention. And so they would come very close to me, and it felt like electricity. And it was
Okay.
so like electricity, like I was going to get electrocuted. It was so like I would run out of the room. And so that kept happening, and they were trying to get my attention, but it was freaking me out. So, so it kind of freaked me out. And then one day I just had courage and I said, who is this and what do you want? And that's when they dropped into my head where communication from my guides began. And they said, I'm your tutor. It's time for you to know me. So, and the next day I woke up at 5 a.m. and a Egyptian man was at the foot of my bed. And our journey began. We began writing a book, and the whole spiritual journey began from that moment. So,
Wow.
yeah, that was the only time I was scared was that time.
Okay. And did that lead into the, I guess, the medium part of everything? Did they guide you into,
Yeah.
now you can speak to people that have passed?
Oh, they were a huge, huge, huge part of my development. So I'm very attuned into the guides and spirit guides, and I'm very knowledgeable about them. They've worked very closely with me, and they've been on this journey of mine the whole time. In a lot of ways, they were my greatest teachers when it came to mediumship. They weren't my only teachers, but they were some of my greatest teachers. And so they've always kind of been with me, and they went to every development group I ever went to. They have just been transformational in my own life and also in the work that I'm doing now. So yeah, absolutely. They were all the breadcrumbs that led to where I am today. They placed on
That's
my path.
great.
Yeah.
So how did this ability, once that happened, actually start changing your life? And was there anyone, not a spirit guide, that actually helped you hone in on those abilities?
Mm. I think that when you're ready, when when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And
Hmm.
so I believe that I was absolutely guided to the right people all along. I actually studied at a mystic college in England.
Oh, wow.
So there's a development school. They call it Hogwarts.
Uh-huh.
Not Hogwarts, but it's kind of like that. And it's a
Yeah.
big mansion in England. And so that was kind of where everything sort of began. And I was guided there just coincidentally by randomly running into somebody who mentioned it, and then I just had the desire to go there. That's where everything kind of folded. So again, breadcrumbs, you know.
Right.
So the college, it's called Arthur Findlay College.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in England, Stansted, England.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
I assume,
many teachers there, right?
right.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
And how has this ability changed your life?
It's changed everything about my life,
Yeah, I
right?
would
I mean,
imagine.
I don't even recognize the person I was anymore. You know, that's how much it's changed me. I think that when you start going on a spiritual path and a spiritual journey, um, you have to dive in. And I think to really be a good medium, you have to really get to the core of yourself, because you're helping a lot of other people that are needing to get to the core of themselves. And you can't do that if you haven't gone and done the work yourself. So
Mhm.
like there could be a lot of mediums, but if they don't do the work, it's really going to make a difference in the quality of the mediumship, because you really have to get to the raw bones. And I changed everything. I went from, I went into meditating, and I went into, I just, everything I did changed. And because of everything that I did that changed, and the support of the guides, and the work that was unfolding, I started looking at life very differently. Right. I started looking at life entirely differently, and everyone in it. And I looked at myself differently. I stopped beating myself up
Mhm.
through this. So there's a lot of self-love work that comes into this as well.
Mhm.
Also, it's just a whole transformation internally. So yeah, there isn't anything about me that's the same that used to be, for the most part.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a huge, huge, huge transformation. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if I could pick one thing. I mean, just
Yeah,
how I think, how I see things, my perspective on stuff, my compassion level, everything. Yeah.
got it. And how do you receive your information? I know that's the second like biggest question is, do you see, do you hear, do you feel? Um, and is the seeing, if you do see them, do you see right through them? Do they look like solid like us? Like, what do you see?
Yeah. So first of all, as far as how do I receive information, depending on the loved one that comes forward, they're going to work with me in the way that they can best allow me to know what they want to express. So
Okay.
for some loved ones, they're going to use a lot of emotion, and they'll use my clairsentience, because, they want to express through emotion. Some of them, will be, so they want to just blend really close to me, where I almost become them. And I begin to say words that they used, and I start doing mannerisms that I used to have, and things like that, where they come really, really close. Visually, I'm very clairvoyant, right? So clairvoyance is one of my biggest, clairs that I have, because I think because I was a photographer for 24 years prior. So the
Yeah.
spirit world's intelligent, and your loved ones are intelligent. The guides are intelligent. So they know the best way to work with me. And so clairvoyance is a way that they often will show themselves. So
Okay.
yes, I will actually see them. They'll sometimes give me a moving picture, and they'll put this motion of a moving picture of their life. Or like I had this guy one time, he was a dad that came. No, it was a husband that came, and he was sitting in a reclining chair in his boxer shorts with tube socks. And I'm watching him. He's showing this to me, and he gets up out of the chair, and he goes to the refrigerator, gets out a beer, comes back to the chair and sits down. And then he makes me aware of the living room, where there's this photograph of a vacation that he had with his wife. And his wife was like, "Oh my God, yeah, he had that chair, and always in his boxes, and his short, and his socks, and always went to get a beer." And I said, "But there's this picture of your vacation in your living room." And she goes, "Yeah, our last vacation together." So he would show me all that visually. So clairvoyance is a lovely way I receive, but it
Okay.
depends on how the loved one wants to work.
Got it.
Yeah.
And when you're in a public place, are
Mm.
you bombarded with information with people if you're at a concert or an airport or even just a restaurant with some friends? How do you manage that if that's what happens? And can you turn it off or on?
Okay, so I get this question asked a lot, but can you turn it on and can you turn it off?
Right.
Yes, you can. Because listen, again, the spirit world, your loved ones, the guides, they're intelligent. Are they going to want to work with me and run my energy all day, all night? How am I going to be able to work efficiently in the way that they need me to be when it comes to giving a reading to somebody? They wouldn't, because they use my energy too. right? So they use my energy also. They have their energy and then they use my energy also. So if I'm depleted, how am I going to be able to give the best reading to their loved one? So first of all, it doesn't even make sense. I think that as some people say, oh, I can't turn it off, and they're always coming, they just haven't learned maybe how to balance it, or they haven't really had the boundaries. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you think about it, why would they want to run your energy all day? But saying that, will a loved one come in when I'm somewhere because that loved one knows I'm a medium and they know where their loved one's going to be and I'm going to be walking in that store? Yes. They have done it at Pottery Barn. They've done it at Crate and Barrel. They've done it at a restaurant multiple times. Yes, they will. They've done it at the beach. Yeah, they do it, but it's not like all the time.
Okay.
Know? And when that happens, I'll always get the message, because obviously if they're going to do it, then I know this is the chance to do it for them, and they may not get another chance. Mm-hmm. So I will always be that Uber driver for them. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Something else I wanted to know, and I know a lot of people did too. What are they doing on the other side? If they have a hobby here, can they do it there? Is there fishing and sports and eating and get-togethers? What are they doing?
Yeah. First of all, they're not doing anything they don't want to do.
Okay.
So there is hobbies. So I remember doing a reading where I had these women of these sisters all come at a table. They were all playing poker.
Okay.
And one sister had a poker hat on, and the one sister was with me. All of her other sisters were in the spirit world. I come to find out as I gave this reading. I said, they're all playing poker. They did this because, oh, that's what we always did together as sisters. You know, we all did that. I said, but one's got this cap on. She took it serious. And she's like, oh my God, like, yes, like I had my older sister. She was like that. And so they're doing a lot of those things. I had a son who came forward who told me that he was an artist and he painted these things. And then I told his mom, I said, your son wants you to know that he's got an easel out. He's showing me an easel. He's painting landscapes. And she says, that's what he always painted. I said, but he wants you to know he's painting in pastels. And she says, that's the one thing here he didn't do that he always wanted to do and didn't get to yet.
Wow.
And I said, well, he wants you to know he's doing pastels. That's what he's painting. And he's painting landscapes. And so, yeah, so, you know, we create our heaven. And so obviously, why would we want to create things that we don't like? We want to create the things that we enjoy, the things that we love. So we are the best creators in the spirit world, but we're creators here too. Just a lot of us don't recognize it. We don't use it to the full potential like we do when we're in the spirit world. But yeah, tons of hobbies, tons of fun stuff. I have tons of stories I can share about what they're doing in the spirit world. Yeah, from what their houses look like to the towns, what they look. It's a real world.
It's a real world.
It's a real world.
That was my other question. Where is this world? Is this world an actual place in the universe somewhere? Is it? So a lot of people just think, oh, it's in the clouds, but I think it's a little bit more than that. What do you think?
I think that we sit within the spirit world. I think the spirit world and the physical world are connected. I think we're one of the same, and it's really just this little layer that separates us. And it's just this frequency that separates us. And then when we can move ourselves to that frequency, we'll be able to touch into that. The spirit world is literally 3 feet from us.
That's what I've heard.
It's not up in the clouds. It's not in the space. It's in the dark universe. That's not where your loved ones are. They're 3 feet from you, and they're just really separated by this very, very light frequency veil. And it's just right there. And I always use this analogy of a glass of water and water, right? We're the water, and the spirit world's the glass that holds us. So we sit within it, and the spirit world is right here, and we sit in it so they can watch everything we're doing, look after us, guide us, and do all those things. They don't miss anything, you know, because they're right there and they see everything. And yeah, it's not in the clouds, it's not in the dark universe, and it's not in the stars. It's 3 feet from you, and they step in often, whether you realize it or not. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to get there.
Okay.
You mentioned spirit guides, but do you communicate with angels? And does everybody have a spirit guide and an angel?
Everybody has a spirit guide, usually more than one, right? Because here's the thing. With spirit guides, we we have our own guides because, you know, we have a journey that we're going to walk in our life, right? So when we come here, we know we want to be challenged in this particular way. We want to develop this. We want to be creative in this way. We want to do these things. And then there's guides that will come in to help us in our life, to help us achieve those things and to guide us through those things, right? So we might have one guide that's really creative, another one that really teaches us and helps us deal with compassion. And when we have to deal with compassion, sometimes we have to go through really hard stuff to get there, right? So they're there, right there, helping us through that. So your guides know every aspect about you. There isn't anything they don't know about who you are because they've been with you from day one.
Okay.
And then you have other guides, additional ones that come in to help you in certain aspects in your life when you've approached a certain time in your life when you're about ready to tackle something that you're here to do, right? And so you have your own guides. And then we have angels. And angels always show up to me as light.
Okay.
As a light force, as a light, as a twinkle light, as a colored light, as a beam of light. And guides always show up to me in human form.
Okay.
Guides have lived on our planet. They have lived. That's why they can help us because they've been here. And they've worked with us since we were born. So they know every hiccup we've gone through. They know everything that we've been able to deal with, every heartache we've had, every challenge we've dealt with, every success we overcame and have had in our life. They know everything. So they're wonderful for us in our life. They always come in human form. And I have seen, for me personally, I have seen 4 of mine visually.
Oh my goodness.
And they're all human form.
Okay. But you obviously know that they're a guide, not someone that's just passed on that you're trying to talk to or that's trying to talk to you. You can tell the difference.
They feel different.
Okay.
Yeah, they feel different. Your loved ones are feel different. Now, I'm going to say loved ones, you feel this love, right? But here's the difference too. I'm feeling your loved ones differently than you're going to feel your loved ones, right? Because your loved ones love you. They like me, but they love you, right? They like me because I'm your Uber driver. They love you. So you're going to feel your loved ones differently. And it's going to be in that sense of love. Guides always feel like love. When I'm driving and I feel them coming in, my nose tingles. And all of a sudden my nose gets really tingly and I know they're coming in. Because, you know, like when you're almost going to cry from joy, you get nose tingles.
Yes.
That's a calling card that they give me every time when they're coming in close. And it's that love. So guides always give love too, but it feels different than a loved one's love.
Got it.
It's a different energy.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Okay. What is the best thing about being a medium? And is there any mediums in your family? Because I know sometimes it can be like generational or passed down. Was that the case with you?
My grandmother on my dad's side was, she used to give card readings. You know, she used to give card readings in her home. She was, and I never knew her in life. She passed before I knew her, which was probably my biggest regret, not ever knowing her, and will always be my biggest regret. But I know her now through the spirit world. She works with me often. But so she had the gift, and I knew about that just from knowing about her from stories. But then when I met my cousin, she goes, "Oh, Monica, oh my gosh, yeah, this guy, oh, you did this. Grandma was witchy too." I'm like, we don't use witchy, not witchy, you know. Oh, okay. But she was like, oh my gosh, grandma was like that too. And she did know my grandma and I didn't. Anyway, so she was, I believe my father had it as well. I feel he just channeled it a little bit differently. You know, my dad was a bit of a drinker, and so he channeled it differently. And I don't believe in mixing spirits with spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I say I'm nice and clean. Not that he got weird, anything bad or anything, but it was, yeah, I think he had it too, but I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure from the stories of my brothers that yes, he did. But my grandmother for sure. And what was the biggest thing for me? The biggest thing that I think mediumship has changed my life is, I think, just
the best, I guess the best thing.
The best thing, you know, helping people.
I bet. Yeah.
Helping people. I mean, hands down, I think that's what gets me out of bed every day. It's being able to visually see the grief lift in the eyes of my clients, seeing how that connection and what they specifically wanted to talk about that it was exactly what they needed to hear, and things
Mhm.
like, oh my, what, like it just, that hands down is just the best. Just seeing the healing,
Yeah.
100%.
It's
Yeah.
such an intimate moment that you have with people
Mhm.
too, because as someone that, has come to you and my family has, we are in a state of grief. You're right. And you are amazing. You are so trustworthy and ethical in what you do. And that's not to be taken lightly. And I've recommended you to so many people, and you've helped all of us. I had a brother that we lost to COVID. So we were frantically trying to find someone, and I found you, and you're from my hometown in Westlake Village. And um, went to the same high school. So there, we had all these connections. And you
Oh,
took photos of me a long time ago when you were a
that is
photographer.
great. Oh, my head's buzzing. Yeah, and yeah, and so I really believe too that oftentimes your loved ones kind of bring us together,
Totally. Yes.
because it wouldn't work if we were so far apart from
Mhm.
how we saw things or viewed things or our personalities, or
Right.
your loved ones know the kind of medium you need and
Exactly.
what's going to
Never
be
thought of
there
that.
for your comfort and things like that. So I really believe your loved ones pick the medium.
I never thought about that, but that's totally true. And I literally just, my mom called me and said, Dad's having a really hard time. Can you find him somebody? And I literally just Googled, and you were the first person that popped up. I like that you were from my hometown. And my dad was just blown away. And not that he was a critic, but he was hoping that this would be for real. And it was. And he came out, and we could, as you said, see the grief lift off of him. And my gosh, it was the biggest gift for all of us. So thank you for that.
And so even just saying that, like
Mm,
your brother knew, like
mm,
to get you to feel connected, that would make him, what, like home, we
yes.
came from the same hometown. That would be something. And then this, all these kind of, then all these
Yes.
other synchronicities. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that happened with it. So
Amazing.
lovely. So yeah. Well,
Yay.
thank you for sharing your family with me.
Yes. Um, and then I have always wondered about reincarnation,
Mhm.
and so curious if anyone has talked to you about reincarnation. Um, so interesting. I don't know how they would do that, but what is your thoughts on reincarnation?
Well, I believe in it.
Okay.
So I have a couple stays on this. So
Yes.
first, I believe in it. I also believe your loved ones do not reincarnate until you have all gone to the other side. There is
Okay.
no reason for anybody in your family that's on the other side to reincarnate before the whole soul family comes back. There's no hurry. What's the hurry? There's no urgency. It's not like, oh my God, I've been here 5 minutes, got to get out of here again. No, I mean, it's like, you don't need to do that. So they're not going to I don't believe they're going to reincarnate before everybody comes over, right?
Now, when you say everybody, are we talking 2 generations, 3 generations, like 200 years? Like what's the soul family?
I think your family, your immediate family, and your family, like your
Okay.
grandparents, your mother, father, your children, your husband, like that
Okay. So
amount.
about
You
three
know what I mean?
generations. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of
Okay.
generations. There's just no reason because those connections are tight. So why would they get and then not be? It just
Okay.
doesn't even really make sense. But past lives do occur, and I don't do past life work. I don't do reincarnation work, and the reason why I don't is because you can't really prove it,
Yes,
right? So I'm an evidential medium. So I
that's
need to
right.
give you things that are evidential so you can say, oh, this is true. This is real. This is them. I feel that this happens. You can't do that with reincarnation. But
Mhm.
I will tell you quickly that there was a client that I saw in her home, and beautiful woman. I went to her home to give her a reading. I went into her family room and gave her a reading, and her guides came in. And her guides gave me a message for her about a past life of hers, where she was a young girl,
Mhm.
grew up in a convent,
Mhm.
never left the convent, was raised by nuns, and she never left the convent. And
Wow.
how that past life has affected her in this life. She never
Yes.
wants to leave her home. Her home was like her convent. The nuns were strict and tough. She had sisters that were very strict and tough. And I said, your guides are saying you don't have enough church in your life and you need this church in your life. This is what you're missing. She got up, walked over, pulled out a drawer, and it showed me all of these crosses
Huh.
and all of these things that she had that were religious, that she
Okay.
had stuffed in a drawer. And this reading was such a transformational reading for her. And I said, you need to go back into you need to have some church in you. You need to, and it was this amazing, amazing reading about a past life she had that is connecting her with what she needs to work on in this life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
that was major. But that's not an everyday reading. You get what you need. You get what you
Yes.
need. And at that day, she didn't need her loved ones. She really needed guidance on what was going on in her life and why these things were happening, why she was behaving this way, and why that, and so they came in and it was powerful, very powerful. So I believe in it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That is really neat. I never knew what to think about that, but that explains a lot, especially about the families not coming back in until everyone is home, so to speak.
Yeah, like it doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense, right? Like if you I mean, if you have a mom on the other side, and you don't, but if you did, it's like, you want to get the other side, and all of a sudden mom's not there, and
Right.
you've been waiting. It doesn't even make sense. So why would they reincarnate and have
Yeah.
that before everybody comes back over and has a wonderful reunion and time together in the spirit world?
Exactly.
What's a hurry? We have eternity.
Speaking of hurry, is there ever too soon of a time to read somebody? So let's say someone just passed away yesterday, a family member, and they have a reading with you today. Can you reach them? Is there a holding period that someone is in when they just pass over? How soon is there any time limit on that? Zero. Okay.
Zero. I did a demonstration for one of my kisses from heaven, and one of the gals that came forward was talking about all of the sunflowers that they were doing for her funeral that was that coming Saturday.
Wow.
So she hadn't even had a funeral yet, and she was talking about this gigantic size poster of her and all the sunflowers, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we just did like all of this. That's what we're doing. The whole theme is sunflowers." Da, da, da. I had a young boy that came into a reading. His mother came to see me, and she had not had a funeral yet, and the son was like 18, and the son said, "Tell my mom, tell her yes, get the cake, get the cake." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Your son wants you to know to get the cake." And she goes, "I couldn't decide if I should get the cake for the memorial or not because I didn't know, because that sounds celebratory, but then it's my son's funeral
right.
and I didn't know." And your son says, "Get the cake."
Get the
And he also,
cake.
and he also wants to say, "Thank you for wearing this red blouse." He says it's his favorite color. She goes, "I wore it for him. Red is his favorite color." So little,
Oh,
beautiful little things to let
right.
her know it was her son, but he hadn't had a funeral yet either. I received a message from somebody in the spirit world, had only been on the other side 2 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I
Oh,
didn't even know they passed away until
oh,
after I got off and I went on Facebook. And I'm like, whoa.
wow. I wonder if they're
So
like in shock at that point or if they're already debriefed on-
there, uh, I just know there's no time. And I
Yeah.
just say it's always the right time when the client's ready for it. Because
Hmm.
just because you can connect at any time doesn't mean you should. You have to
Okay.
be at an emotional place that you're ready to receive. Because if you're
Right.
not ready to receive, you're not ready for a reading. You have to be willing, wanting, ready in your heart to receive like you want it. And I think those become very powerful readings.
So what's the best way someone can prepare themselves for reading with you? How do they know, I guess, if they are ready? Is just the fact that they've come to your website and decided to book a reading?
They know.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, the loved ones move you. It's
Ah,
oftentimes your loved ones that are
yes.
influencing you. Like, I'm sure there might be people that are listening to this that will say, "Yeah, I remember like when I did this, and it's like I just had the urge, and I just went to the laptop, and I decided to look on there and find somebody, or just there's something that moved you,
Yes.
and that's what happens is your loved ones kind of move you. That's why they kind of move you to that right, and then you'll see a bunch of people, and you're like, I'm drawn to that person. They're
Hmm.
moving you, and
Hmm.
so your loved ones do it. They help nudge you because here, let's think about it. The client wants the reading, they have healing, but your loved one in spirit want it too. it's
Ah,
it's not
okay.
just for the client, it's also for those on the other side. Those
Yeah.
on the other side want to communicate. Can you imagine? Here you are, you're a son in the spirit world, or you're a mother in the spirit world, or son in the spirit world, and you see your mother, you see your mother or your daughter devastated over the loss and you just can't pick up your feet and you're
Mm,
struggling in life and you can't, like, you're struggling. Do you
mm,
think they want to see that? They want to help you. They
yeah.
don't want to see you struggle like that. So
Hmm.
it helps them too. When you're doing better, they're better,
Okay. That was on
right?
my mind
So
too. Do they see your grief, basically? Do they know?
they see it, they feel it, they know it,
Mm,
and they don't want that. It's,
hmm.
there's so many beautiful messages that come forward of children, husbands, mothers, fathers, that they're always saying just what's necessary to help them get over that hump of grief.
Right.
And listen, do we ever heal completely? No. But
Hmm.
can we heal to the amount where we can get on and find joy and happiness in our life
Yes.
again? Yes. And that's what they're trying to do. And that's what mediumship is.
It's an amazing, amazing thing. So for someone to prepare in a sense, first they have to feel that urge to book the reading, to find someone like you or you. And then should they be thinking about their loved one that they want or a couple people that they want to come forward?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you basically, like, let's say you're seeing me, I would say, the next couple days prior to our session, start putting out that thought to your loved ones in the spirit world. Start putting out that love. And then as we get a little closer, say, hey, I'm seeing Monica tomorrow at 2 o'clock. I want you to come. I want you better come. Come on, come. I want you to come. Have a conversation with them.
Okay.
Your thoughts are a telephone line to them.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
when you think about them, they are on the receiving end and they hear you. And a reading allows them to be the communication. Because sometimes clients say, oh, I want to tell them this and I want to tell them. They already know all of that.
Okay.
This is their opportunity to communicate to you, right?
And I bet
Because you
they're
put the
biting at the
thoughts
bit.
and feelings. Yeah, their
Yeah.
love and thoughts and feelings are going out to the loved one. A reading allows them. So that's why they enjoy it. Because then they can express and answer your questions, give you some peace in your heart, help answer questions that you've been needing to
Hmm.
help ease your grief. So it
Got it.
helps them too. Yeah.
Do
And yes, you just start thinking about it and you just start inviting them, invite them to the session.
Yeah, that's always worked for me as well. I've always, and just like a week ago, I had a reading with you and my husband booked it for Mother's Day and I was like, nope, I want it. We're in March. So I was like, I want it now. Something just, I want it now. So I rescheduled with you and I guess they were wanting to communicate too, maybe. So have
They
you ever
did.
met like a funny spirit that cracks you up? Like is humor alive and well on the other side?
Well, we can heal through humor, can't we?
Yes, definitely.
So, I mean, spirit isn't always going to be tears. There will be tears in the
Right,
session,
right,
of course, but there's
right.
also a lot of laughter. I remember giving a reading and his mom came through and she would, she was great. She was great about, she'd give you stuff. And then the daughter on the Zoom call with me would start crying like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden say something that she'd be cracking up and then take her right out of that the tears and into the
Yeah.
laughter and then back into the laughter. I mean, it was this
No,
all this yin and yang of the laughter and the tears and the laughter and the tears. But don't
right.
we heal through both of those?
Definitely, definitely in life and I guess beyond.
And listen, it's not all serious business in the spirit world. There's a lot
Yeah,
of joy and laughter that goes on there. So
I'm sure.
yeah, laughter is real in the spirit world and joy. And so yeah, why wouldn't they want to express some of that onto you?
Definitely. Do our loved ones ever come through with advice or predict the future? Like if there's a dad and he wants to tell his daughter, like, don't date that guy, or, is there some really strong advice given, or do they just come through with kind of general stuff?
Yes and no, because
Okay,
there is free will. So we're here to learn our own way.
true.
And, if everyone tells us what to do, we're not really learning.
That's true.
So, will they give advice? Yes. I remember a mother giving advice to her daughter about a guy in her life. And
Hmm.
she used sewing as a way to give her the message. Her mom was a big sewer and she sewed patterns and made clothes and things like that. And she said to her daughter in the reading, I said, your mom is saying, like, whenever you make a pattern, whenever you cut a pattern, you know exactly what you're going to get. If we have this dress pattern, we're going to cut this pattern, we're going to sew this pattern, you know what you're going to get.
Right.
Pay attention to the patterns in your relationship.
Ah,
And she started talking about, so the daughter was able to kind of, and it went on like that, but the daughter was able to say, okay, yeah, the patterns of sewing, that's totally my mom. That's what we always did. And she showed it out on a dining room table and her sewing machine and the whole thing. And then she says, when you stick to the pattern, you always know what you're going to get.
ooh,
So
okay.
if the man in your life or keep giving you these patterns, it's a pattern of this, and
Yes.
it's making you feel this way, you know what you're getting from these patterns of this person.
Okay.
So pay attention to the patterns. And so this
I love
mom
that.
used this intelligent way of bringing in
Yeah.
what she did in life all the time and use it as a symbolic message for her daughter in helping her with her relationship.
Right. Oh, I
So
like that. Okay.
so they will do that, but they will also, to a point, they're never going to tell you where the money is. They're
Right.
not going to have you sledgehammer the wall and say maybe it's in that hole in the wall. They're not really going to do that. They don't care about that.
Hmm.
They care about you. They care about your emotions. They care about you being uplifted. They care about you going on in your life and, and taking care of yourself. They care about those things.
Okay.
So, yeah. So
Do they
they'll give
predict the
advice.
future? Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt.
Oh yeah, I've had people come in and tell me they were pregnant, they were having a girl. I heard, I
Uh-huh.
remember doing a reading. I remember doing a reading for a lady in my office, and her best friend's mother came forward,
Uh-huh.
and I said, her mom's saying that your friend's pregnant, and she's like, no way, no. I said, saying she's having a baby, she's pregnant. She literally called me the next day and says, oh my God, I got a call last night. My
Ah.
girlfriend's pregnant. So the mother kind of gave the news already. So
Yeah,
yeah, they do. They can
very
do some
cool.
predictions, but nothing that's going to change your outcome in your life because our free will is
Right.
ours, and
That
we
makes
have
sense.
to do it. So there's boundaries.
Got it. Okay. And I assume people do basically keep their personality traits. Like what if they were, a very serious person, are they a very serious person over there and vice versa? And also, do they become more enlightened when you cross over? Do you feel regret for maybe some of the decisions that you made? Do people come over and really apologize? I know that's a lot of questions in one, but how does
Yeah.
that?
So again, every reading is going to be different because
Mhm.
every loved one is different. Every
Sure.
personality of the loved one is different, and each relationship with each loved one is different. Therefore, I can have a dad come forward and the reading be very different with the daughter than the son,
Yep.
right? Because their relationship with their father was different, right?
Sure.
But do they come in like they are? Yeah, because how else would you recognize them? If I said, I got a mom coming in and she's like chatty Cathy and she's all vivacious and boy, she just has a lot to say. But her mom was like quiet as a mouse. Never
Right.
talked about anything. You couldn't get anything out of her. She was like, that's not my mom.
Yeah.
So
True.
they wouldn't be able to get identified. So they have to come forward in the way that you know them. And they
Yes.
will always use their personality. And they have that personality in the spirit world. But
Okay.
can they grow in that personality?
Yes.
Yeah, don't we?
Yes.
Don't we? I mean, look
Yeah.
at how I was before my mediumship. I evolved so much in
Mhm.
my personal journey that shaped my personality as well. Of course,
Mhm.
that's going to happen in the spirit world, but they are still who they are.
Mhm.
They're
Mhm.
not somebody different,
Right.
but
Right.
do they apologize? Yeah, yeah.
I
If
bet.
I mean, yeah, and it could get heavy,
I'm
some of
sure.
these
Yeah.
apologies, and some people come in from the spirit world that the client's like, I want to talk to them.
Really? So what do you do
But
in that instance?
well, I know if they came, there's a reason. They're not coming to be mean. They're not coming
Right.
to beat you down. They're not coming to make fun. They're coming because they know something they have done has
Mhm.
terribly harmed you and hurt you, and it's
Okay.
preventing you from moving forward in your life. So I always say to my client, listen,
Mhm.
we don't have to spend a lot of time, but let's just find out why they came.
Okay. And most
If
people
you're
are okay
okay
with
with
that?
it, if you're
Yeah.
okay with it, we can stop it at any time and we can
Yeah.
move on. But I know he's coming for a reason, and I know it's to help you.
Okay.
And so I
Wow.
put the client at ease, but they always have the choice. If they don't want to, I'm not going to make them. I'll
Right.
bring in the next person in line.
Okay. That's really interesting. Um, so what are some typical signs that our loved ones might give us?
Oh, I think the thing with signs is people are so limiting with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're so limiting with it. It's a feather. It's a butterfly. And
Right.
yeah, it
It's
could
a
be a feather. It could
bird.
be a butterfly. It can be those things, we're not, it does not have to be those things. But, you know, I think there's so many ways signs come. Signs come through music, through a
Mhm.
song, through something you're watching on TV, and all of a sudden you think about them. It's somebody that you just meet that you haven't seen in 20 years that was connected to your loved one in some way. That all of these things are signs that your loved ones are near you. All seeing somebody with a jacket on, and the back of the jacket has your loved one's name.
Yep.
All of these kind of things. That's happened actually.
Mm.
All of these, so many ways that they get signs. It isn't just a butterfly, a quarter, a feather, a red cardinal. Not that those don't come and those aren't signs. They are, but you're getting way more than that. You are
Mm-hmm.
getting way more than that. Way
Mm-hmm.
more than that. You are getting signs every single day. And the more open you are to know that a sign could look differently than what you think it could look, it could hear differently than you think it looks. It could be the waitress coming at the table when you're at Denny's and she has your grandmother's name,
Mm.
or she has, or something conversation. It could be so many things, so many
I,
things. And I say, never limit it. Don't limit the signs. They're coming in big, big ways.
right.
They're always coming.
Right. Well, I was at the market yesterday and I thought I saw my brother, Denny.
Oh, isn't that funny? We were just talking about Denny's.
Yeah. And I thought I saw him. And, someone that just like looks like him for a second. I'm like, oh, and then obviously it's not them. But, that could be a
No,
sign, right?
no, no, yes.
No?
Yes, it could.
Yes. Okay.
Because I remember walking at the beach and this man walked by me.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an older man. He walked by me, and every core in my body knew that was my father.
Ooh. Okay.
Every core in my being, I knew that was my father. He looked, and the way he looked at me, as he slowed down, as he looked at me, and our eyes locked, and the
Mm-hmm.
feeling I had, that was my father.
What did you do? Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it overcame me. And so, sometimes it's a feeling that they give you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that feeling. So usually that man to come to me at that right time, and that eye connection allowed my dad to connect with me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
yes, it comes like that. That's what I'm saying. There's big ways that you can get a sign from your loved one, not just the easy stuff.
right. Okay.
Don't limit them ever.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. And if someone feels like they could be intuitive themselves, or maybe even have a little bit of the mediumship abilities that you have, what's some advice you would give to that person?
Meditate,
Okay. Yeah.
meditate. And I think a lot of people don't do it because they judge it. They judge the
Mm-hmm.
meditation. And when you want to connect with the spirit world, it's silent.
Mm-hmm.
The better you get as a medium, the more quiet your loved ones are. And they're always changing the way they work with you. Now, let me clarify. There is specific ways loved ones will work. But what I'm saying is, in the beginning in the mediumship, they used to hit me on the shoulder.
Like literally, you
Yeah,
would
they hit
feel
me on
like,
the shoulder. Yeah, they'll hit me on the shoulder, or I would know that they came in, or they would just they were more like right next to me, like I see them, I could feel them, they're touching me, they're like all that kind of stuff. And then as you get better and better, better, it's more quiet, more quiet, more quiet, and it's so subtle. It's a whisper. So you have to know how to get still to feel when something is a whisper.
okay, right.
And meditation does that.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation allows you to know what your body feels like. So it
Mm-hmm.
allows you to understand when somebody else steps into your atmosphere, what feels different.
And can that come across
People
as
confuse it.
anxiety?
Oftentimes, spirit is anxiety. No, no, no. Spirit doesn't give you anxiety, but you will feel like a heart rate or something like that when spirit moves close. So it feels like you're feeling anxious, but it's
Mhm.
really just the energy of the spirit world drawing close, right?
Okay. Yes.
So that's what I mean. And so, yeah, so it can feel like anxious. You can feel goosebumps. You could get chills up down your back, neck, and spine. Get really hot. You can get really cold. Um, you know, you can hear something internally. in your
Mm-hmm.
mind. You
Mm-hmm.
hear it. It's not like clairaudience is a clair that we use for communication with spirit, and it's a hearing, but it's an internal hearing. It's not a hearing typically outside, like I hear a dog barking.
Right.
It's I heard something in my head.
Okay. Which is how you hear it. You
Yeah, I
hear,
hear it internally. I'll
okay.
hear it internally. I see everything right here. And I had a dad that came in, and I had 3 daughters with me in my office, and the dad just shows up, walks right across me. He's wearing a Tommy Bahama shirt. He goes and he sits on the chair of my arm right next to me, and he sits on the arm of the chair. And I said, may I ask you, when your dad was here, did he used to sit on the arm of the chair or the arm of the couch? That's the only place he'd ever sit.
Ah, oh my gosh.
I said, did you like Tommy Bahama? That's all he ever wore. So
That's
they
amazing.
show up, so they show up doing things that is evidential into how they were in their life, depending on what they wore, how they sit, how they act, what they talk about. There's everything that the spirit will give you clairvoyantly. There's a message in that. There's
Mm-hmm.
meaning in that. They don't create a picture in your mind for no reason.
Right, of course.
It's always evidence. It's always
Right.
information.
Right. So if you want to talk back, do you sometimes literally say it out loud, or do you just say it in your mind?
Me or
Mm-hmm.
you?
You.
Like me
Mm-hmm.
in my mind.
Okay.
As I'm talking to my client, I'm talking to them.
Got it. Oh, wow. That must be hard.
But here's the other clincher. I'm speaking to you, I'm putting the thought and speaking to them, and then I'm receiving it in my gut.
Mm.
So my mind has to be in my gut.
Okay.
My focus has to be a little bit with you, and then more of the focus has to be with them. So I'm split.
Mm.
Right? So I'm a hot dog and a bun, right?
Right.
So I have 80% with the spirit world, or 70% with the spirit world. I have some with you, a few 10% or 12% with you, and the rest is in my gut. So, because that's where the communication, because all the communication comes from your gut, and then it turns into a picture, or it turns into clairaudience, or it turns into a feeling, but it all starts in your 3rd chakra.
I was going to ask your chakra. Okay.
That's your communication house.
Okay.
And then it takes a road, and then it's going to go to the medium. Where's her strength with this particular loved one? How am I could be very clairvoyant, but if this loved one, might know that, but if that loved one is going to be able to express easier through clairsentience, through feelings and emotions, then that's what it's going to be. That's because the client needs an emotional healing.
Okay. Wow.
Because they're going to work with me the way the client needs it. I'm just the Uber driver.
So that tells you a lot about the person sitting in front of you, kind of where they're at emotionally. I see.
How the loved one is going to work with me tells me exactly what the client's going to need.
It's amazing. Wow.
And the way they communicate is the way that they can get it expressed. Because clairvoyantly, they're not going to be able to get the emotion to you the way you could clairsentiently.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that child lost a mom and that child is grieving, then that mom is going to use emotion to help, and they'll speak about things that are emotional that will help lift them. And clairvoyance, it'll be different. So it's up to the loved one. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Are dreams a good way to communicate? Is that another way that they use, the spirit uses a vessel to communicate? No. Dreams are just our
visitations. Yes. Visitations, not dreams. Dreams are oftentimes, most of the time, it's just something that's being played out in your own head as you sleep from your day to day, your life activities, your stress, your pressures, your fears, your angst, and then it plays out in these dreams. That's why sometimes all the dreams are like, oh, I don't get
scary.
it.
Yeah, and crazy.
I don't know it, or I woke up like this, but I don't know what it means. Or it's like, it's the way your body is trying to release all of this through your dreams. But visitations do come as you sleep, but that is not a dream. That is your loved one visiting you. And yes, that is a way they can communicate with you.
That's amazing.
So and the difference is, in a dream, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what this means. I forgot it already. I don't even remember. I remember
Mhm.
it was kind of freaky. I remember I was like in this chair, but that's all I remember now. It's like you don't already remember your dream. A
True.
visitation, you remember everything.
Oh my gosh, I'm just now thinking about a couple of dreams, and you're so right, or visitations. And you're right. I
Yeah.
remember everything about it. And a dream, I lose it almost 30 seconds after I wake up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ah, that's
Yeah.
so
Because
interesting.
dreams don't often make sense because there's all a bunch of mushy
Right.
stuff of all the stuff you're dealing with in your life. It's that's forming things that are giving you those experiences. But a loved one, they're going to show up whether you see all of them or only from the waist up or
Right.
whatever it is. But you will feel it, you will see it, and you will
Mhm.
remember it. You will
So
never forget it.
that's how we know the difference.
Mhm.
That is really interesting. I never knew that. Thank you so much. What about like movies? Are there any movies that really depict heaven well? Like I saw recently What Dreams May Come. One of my dad's favorite movies is Defending Your Life with Meryl Streep. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but we all just
Mhm.
sit there and wonder, like, gosh, I wonder if any of that is kind of right on, or are we
All
way
right.
off?
Okay. Well, the one with Meryl Streep, Defending Your Life, it's kind of a
Mhm.
comedy.
Yes,
But if you really think about that movie, what is true about that is he was defending his life because he never took steps. He never got out of his fear. He prevented to do things like I don't know who's the guy. Was it Al Brooks or who was the
I
guy
think
in
so.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it was like he was like, they were like judging him. So it was like that whole like judgment day when you go to the spirit world and they're
The
assessing your
life
life.
review.
They're like, yeah, the life review, but they're like, yeah, but here's this opportunity, but you didn't go for it. You played
Hmm.
safe. Like, why didn't you so it was about him making excuses on why he didn't go for these things. So
Right.
really it's about taking chances in your life and like going after what feels right for you and living your life and doing it. That's what that movie was really about
Mhm.
for me when I saw it that
Yes.
I could relate with.
Hmm.
Not really about the spirit world, but What Dreams May Come with Robin Williams.
Yeah.
What was accurate about that was his version of the spirit world, right? Because we create our heaven.
Okay.
And
My
if you
gosh.
look at his heaven, there was
Hmm.
the house with his wife that they had
Hmm.
built that was going to be, I think, in Italy or Switzerland or wherever it was.
Right.
The paint, all the colors were like paint because
Right.
he loved art and paint. His wife was an artist. All of this, saw the children, but then the children were sometimes at different ages and at different, things to help him get ready to see his kids. But the spirit world, like he created the spirit world. And when his wife had, you know, gone to the spirit world too, it was a very different experience, right? But it
Hmm.
was how she was feeling about herself.
Hmm.
Do you understand that? Like, if
Yeah.
you rewatch that movie now,
Yes.
you'll say now how it was a thought that she was holding, that she felt the loss of her children were
Hmm.
her fault, that she would have driven them instead of the housekeeper, that she
Right.
had all this guilt and this pain. And that's why the spirit world always want us to be happy.
Hmm.
Think about it. That's why the loved ones are always coming out. Don't worry about that. Forget about that. I don't feel that way. I don't want you to feel guilty for this. I want you to be happy. You have good thoughts so you can create your heaven.
Mm. Okay.
Right?
That's
But the real movie that really, really resembles
tell me.
mediumship, that
Yes.
really resembles all of that is Ghost.
Ah, I forgot Ghost.
Ghost.
Oh my
Ghost.
gosh.
Ghost pretty much nailed it. Pretty much nailed it.
Okay, well then I have
From
some.
my experience of everything I know from being a medium,
Okay.
and loved ones coming in and how they work and how they like. There's this part with Ghost where she's on the computer and he stands behind her. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Like I had several loved ones when they're journaling and they're writing a letter to their loved ones on the computer and they tell me you just did that like that and they were standing behind you.
Uh,
And so I mean things like that or how yeah I'm Ghost is and and think about it like even with her like when he wanted the psychic woman who
yeah.
didn't even really know that she could even talk to spirits in the beginning,
Yeah.
like she was like a little like crazy person.
Whoopi
Whoopi
Goldberg.
Goldberg. Yeah, but even in that movie, right? And then when he found out that she could hear him,
Uh-huh.
he wouldn't leave her alone.
Yes. Yeah.
until she helped him help his wife.
Right.
And that happened. I remember getting a reading from this kid that I knew his dad, and his dad didn't know I was a medium. And so he kept coming to me, kept coming to me, kept coming to me. And I didn't give the reading because I was like kind of new, and I didn't like want to tell the dad, like, I'm doing this. And then he just wouldn't stop coming. So then
Uh-huh.
I finally called the dad and I told him everything. And then
Okay. It
the
went
boy
away.
didn't come, and then the boy didn't come anymore. He didn't have a need to do it anymore. He
Right.
was using me to try to give a message to his dad, and I wasn't giving it back then
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, oh, I don't know, he's not gonna, blah, blah, blah. And then I
Yeah.
just did, and then all of a sudden it happened, and that was the same, So that
Yes.
Patrick Swayze kept coming, wouldn't leave her alone until she helped him because he wanted to let his wife know. And you will see like how he used certain things as examples to prove the evidentialness. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
always about him, the media, her husband, was also about things that she'd done with him or
Right.
things that only he knew, to
Right.
bring that validation for her.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
Ghost, bottom line. I'm making this a longer
Ah,
thing, but Ghost.
oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I have
Yeah.
just a quick follow-up. So it felt like he was kind of stuck. I don't know. I forgot if he was turning away from the light because he wasn't done. Does that happen where people don't go to the light because they want to do something, or I don't know.
Well, I think he passed, in a way that was very shocking, right? It
Right,
wasn't
right,
expected. And then he kind of saw kind of shenanigans going on,
right.
right? And
Hmm.
then he recognized that his wife was somehow going to be involved in this problem. So he
Danger.
wasn't willing to go. And here's the thing, I believe that they stick around anyway for a few weeks.
Do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think, I think, I'm not saying they didn't go to the spirit world right away. They did, but they're still very connected with our world. Again, we're only 3 feet away.
Okay. Yes.
So, they don't have to, they're just like right here. But I know
Yeah.
that they stay very close to us when they first pass. And they watch everything, their funeral, how the loved one is coping, that's here still, that they, that's grieving, how they're doing. So they stick around. And yeah, so he
That
wasn't
makes sense.
stuck. He wasn't stuck.
Right.
He chose
Right.
to hang out.
Right.
Believe in stuck.
Okay. I was going to ask you that. Okay.
That's yeah, no, I don't believe in stuck. You're
Yeah.
gonna find someone else that's gonna have a different opinion. It's my opinion.
Got
I
it.
have not come across anybody stuck.
Okay. Good to
They're
know.
all good and well. So I
Right.
have not, yeah,
So
my
speaking of
opinion.
famous people, can you like phone up a famous person, or do they have to have a connection with you? Um, yeah, how does that work? Like, can you just call up like Princess Diana and be like, "Hey, what do you think about everything that's going on?"
Well,
Um,
if you go on YouTube, you'll find people
true,
who
true.
say they do.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
because
yeah.
here's the thing: you have to have a connection with that person. Now,
Okay.
does it have to be a super strong connection? No. You can have somebody that comes into your reading that you knew when you were 8 or 9 or 10, and
Hmm.
it's been a long, long time. There was still a connection. But it's
Hmm.
like, why would Marilyn Monroe come for you to come
Right,
sit and have a reading with you? What would be the reason? Like,
right,
she don't know you, you don't know her.
right.
If you
Sure.
knew her, even, or if you knew somebody close in your life that had a connection with her, then yes,
Hmm.
because she might want to come forward and give a message to your friend if there's
Sure.
a close connection. But I don't believe in summoning just random people
Yeah.
from the spirit world. And listen, mediumship is about grieving. It's about
Yes,
helping the grief process. It's
I
about
agree.
helping you forward in your life. And unless there's a reason for that particular person, celebrity person, to
Yeah.
be able to do that specifically for your healing, then
Hmm.
why would that happen? And
Sure.
usually they aren't going to be able to do that. It's people close
Right.
to you that you love that's going to be able to do that. So
Right.
no, I'm going to say no, although you'll find people on YouTube that will say they can.
Yeah. Okay, good to know.
My opinion.
Yeah. Does it take a lot of energy for you and the person that is crossed over to communicate?
Yeah.
Sounds like it does for you from what you had
Yeah.
mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ghost actually has a segment in that movie Ghost. It talks
Mm-hmm.
about how, do you remember that part where Whoopi
Yeah.
Goldberg allowed Patrick Swayze to blend
Yes.
with her?
Yes.
And and allow him to be able to feel his wife.
Mhm.
And, I believe it's always important to allow the loved one to blend really closely, because that's when you're going to be able to really feel the presence of your loved one in the room when you're doing a reading, whether it's Zoom or whether it's in person, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It's when they come close and they blend. But to do that, they're using energy, they're using my energy. So yeah, absolutely. To create a clairvoyant image creates energy. So that's why readings can't go on. Some people say, oh, we're going to do a 2.5 hour mediumship reading with what? No,
Never
no,
thought about that, because
no,
yeah,
no. I promise you will not get 2.5 hours of straight mediumship session. You can't. There's just
yeah,
too much. It takes a lot of energy. You're right. So here's the thing. I'll do demonstrations on a platform and on a stage for 2 hours or
okay.
2.5 hours, but it's not the same loved one,
Oh, gotcha.
right? So I have a certain amount of energy in me, and then each loved one has. So they'll use a little of mine and they'll use some of theirs, use a little of mine, use some of theirs. So you can do 2 hours of
Right.
different loved ones. As you could do small groups, you can do audience readings, but one reading, it's using a lot of their energy. And
A lot of your
so
yeah. Don't
yeah,
they have to
so
lower their frequency to, is it
they
about
don't
that?
really lower, they don't lower, we raise ours.
You raise, okay.
And again,
Okay.
and that's why meditation's important. It teaches you how to elevate yourself, right? So when I'm doing a reading, I always have to elevate my energy. And that's why also another thing, like about how has it changed you in your life,
Right.
I can't allow myself to get into
Ah,
dark spaces, deep places. It's, I know, like, in it's life, we all have moments when we're down or we're sad or something like that, but I have to really check with myself,
wow. Okay.
because I have to keep myself elevated high. So I have to work every day
Mm,
on doing things that raise my vibration,
okay.
walking in nature, channeling, journaling, doing things, listening to music. I don't watch scary movies. I have to watch stuff that makes me laugh,
Mm,
things like that. So I'm very careful on what I put into my energy.
yep. Yep. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Yep. If
have
my
to,
husband wants
have
to
to.
watch,
We all should
yeah,
do that.
I
Like
agree.
news watching, all that kind of stuff. It just brings us down. And when we're
Yes.
down, we're attracting a lot of different stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when we are up and vibing high, we meet happier people in our life. We have happier experiences in our life. We
Hmm.
bring in the loved ones in our, we can,
That's
as a
awesome.
medium. So yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a question?
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. I have three little ones, and I always see them kind of looking around the room. And I have a newborn, and she definitely stares at the ceiling and giggles. So can children see loved ones on the other side and angels?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't know if was it your reading or was it somebody else's reading? I'm just thinking where I talked about I don't know if it was your, or maybe it was somebody, I don't know, but that the baby kept looking at the ceiling fan
Yes.
in the ceiling of the nursery,
Hmm.
and the baby kept looking, and so the loved one in spirit said that they want you to know that they come to the baby's room and they're by the ceiling fan. Would you understand a ceiling fan in your baby's room? So like, yeah, like that's where they want to go. That's but my baby keeps staring at the ceiling fan. So it was like that validation of, yeah, they're watching you know
Yeah.
their grandpa,
Yeah.
so it was a reading that I did not too long ago,
My
where that
baby
was one of the things.
stares at
Yeah,
our
they
ceiling
share.
fan.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 Animals too. Animals do it
Okay.
too. Super connected. Babies are connected. Animals are connected. Why? Because they're all filled with love.
Yeah. And they're so
So
fresh
that
from
connection.
so
Yeah,
fresh from
yeah,
there.
absolutely. And then, when we start having a lot of different belief systems that don't resonate with things that maybe steal some of our joy or our love or different things, we slowly just kind of disconnect from that. But the love is always
Yeah.
there, but it's always about getting us more connected to it. And I think that's a part of what mediumship is about too.
Right.
Really wanting us to kind of connect with that love,
Mhm.
let you know that you are part of that love, know
Mhm.
that you are made of love,
Right.
know that you and your loved ones are always connected. You're connected with source, God, love, energy, loved
Mhm.
ones, that there is no disconnect of any of that. But
I love it.
sometimes we could move ourselves away when we don't keep ourselves in a happier state.
Right. Yeah. So true. We talked about this in my reading. What exactly is an orb?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not an orb. Oh, yeah. We talked about this in your reading. I told you you had a
Yeah.
family picture and there's an orb in it.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was cool. But yeah, orbs are really, it's balls of energy,
Okay.
right?
So it could be is it
Balls of
an
energy.
angel or is it a loved one or is it just all of the above?
It's all energy.
Yeah.
Could
Okay.
be any of it. It could be any of it. I've seen one time, it only happened once for me, but I actually saw orbs with my own eyes right as kind of sun was kind of setting. It was at my house in California.
Yeah.
And I had like 3 orbs that were right there. And one of the orbs had 3 faces in it.
Ooh.
And it had like
Wow.
had an iridescent color to it that was like kind of lavenderish, fuchsia, lavender. It had a little hues of that. I can't say rainbow colors, but it had more color to it. And then the
Right.
other ones were just bright. And then I saw like 3 heads in that face, in
Oh
that
my
orb,
goodness. Wow.
with my own eyes. Only
That's
saw that once.
amazing.
I'm not an orb expert. I'm not a big
Okay.
orb investigator. I'm not, you know, big on, I'm not big on knowing a lot about orbs other than it's energy. It's loved ones. Angels are energy. Loved ones are energy. God's
Yes.
energy. We're
Yeah.
energy, right?
Love it.
And it's just the way they travel. And, you'll find a lot of orbs when you meditate too.
Mm.
If you get into meditation, you begin to record yourself meditating. You like put a recorder, like a video recorder. If you
Yeah.
meditate in the dark, like, or in a darker room, I
Okay.
used to do this. I have a ton of footage of me meditating. And I had a drop cam and I would watch it and
Uh-huh.
these orbs flying and the
Ah,
light shows above my head and the things that go on when you meditate. It's amazing. It's amazing.
wow. I got to get on that then.
Yeah.
Um, what you talked about this briefly about the dad wearing the Tommy Bahama, but as far as like people
Mm.
coming in, do they wear modern day clothes that they would have normally have worn? They're not in like a white robe, or are they sometimes?
It
Just
depends on what
depends.
they're trying to express.
Okay.
Everything that they wear is information.
Okay. Good to know.
So when a young man showed up in a gray suit, I knew it was because he was buried in it.
Oh,
When the
interesting.
little girl shows up in a princess costume, her mom says, that's where I laid my
Left
daughter
it.
to rest in, right?
Oh, okay.
When they show up wearing things
Mm-hmm.
or wearing scarves, my mom always wore scarves. That's what shows it. And she says, you have hers. I have several.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
2 messages, right?
Yes.
Or if
Yes.
they show up, sometimes they wear all these rings on their fingers.
Yeah.
It's like, I got a lady here. She don't wear just one ring. She got like 5 on her finger. Oh my God, that's my girlfriend. Always like 7, 8 rings all the time.
Yep.
But that's how they identify themselves, right? So whenever they wear anything, there's always purpose. And if they're showing up in something of a type of costume or some type of outfit, it's it's a message as well,
Okay.
in the era. So if it's usually something that is um, more ancient attire,
Mhm.
it's usually a guide
Oh,
because they're trying
interesting.
to bring me to where their time was in
Right.
their life when they
Right.
lived here. And also the culture,
Mm-hmm.
because the clothing will help you understand the era, the time, the
That makes sense.
culture, all of that.
Right.
So then they'll
Right.
show up in that, or an Indian
Okay.
with a big headdress,
Yes.
So they don't all wear headdresses. So,
Mm-hmm.
but if they do, there's a reason for it because he is
Yep.
powerful and you know what I mean? So there's always a message in that.
Okay. That makes total sense. And I've heard that we all go back to the age of like 30 and we all are like pretty young in the heavens world. Is that what you've experienced, or do people show you who they were when they passed, or what age
Um,
they were when they passed?
well, it depends. Like, let's say somebody lost a 3-year-old child.
Right.
If that child shows up in a mediumship reading at age 20,
Mm-hmm.
mom's going to say, that's not my baby. My
Totally. Yeah.
baby was 3. So
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't show up at 20.
Right.
He's going to show up at 3 and he's going to give information and evidence to his mother that she will know with him being at 3. And then he's also going to show up with somebody else in the spirit world, because the babies never come alone.
Mm,
They always have somebody with them. And that
mm,
person that they come in with will be important for the mother to know or the parents to know. Do you understand? And
yep.
then you'll be able to kind of see growth. But they have to come in a way that
Yes.
you'll be able to know it's them.
Mhm,
Again, otherwise you're going to say, that's not my baby.
mhm.
Oh, no, my baby wasn't 15. My baby was 3.
Yeah.
So they have to come in like that, right? But is there growth in the spirit world? Sure, I believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that was
believe
another
that.
question. It's like, I had some miscarriages and you were able to connect with that. And do you know if they will stay little until I get there, or are they going to grow a little bit or grow up on the other side?
What I'll just tell you is when you see them, you
Mhm.
will know they're your babies,
Mm, mhm.
right?
Yep.
There will never be in the movie with Robert, um, Robin Williams.
Uh-huh.
His child in the beginning, both of his kids in the spirit world showed up differently in
Yep.
the spirit world,
Mhm.
but he knew it was his kids both times.
Mhm.
His son showed up differently, his daughter showed up differently, but there was a reason for that because he was
Yeah.
so on his wife, and it was like, and his issues with his kids, you know what I mean? So they should, but then boom, there they were, just like
Yep.
he knew them to be, right? So I think that again, in the spirit world, we create a world in our mind.
Mhm.
And our mind, you hear this all the time here. Our mind is very powerful,
Yeah.
but we don't use it here like we use it there. And in the spirit world, we create with our mind. And
Mhm.
so we can create, everything is created through our thought, everything's created through our mind, everything's created in how we feel. So when people say there's no feelings in the spirit world, of course, that's like saying animals don't have feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
Makes
course
sense.
they have feelings, and we use it to create. And we do that here too.
Mhm.
The worlds are not that different.
That, yeah.
The worlds aren't that different.
Yeah.
It's just we seem to just know the playbook better in the spirit world than
Right.
we do here. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we just seem to know how to work it there easier.
Right. I like that.
But
So
that's the
speaking,
point.
yeah, yeah.
Our soul growth, why we're
Okay.
learning here.
Okay. Makes sense.
Mm.
Um, and then if you do lose a child very young or even a miscarriage, like what would be the point? I don't know if you know, but like what would be the point of that soul coming in and leaving so quickly? I guess is there, I'm sure there's a lesson for a parent, and but does that soul, like what did that soul achieve? I guess. Like what would be the point of that?
Well, when you come into spirit, when you come into the physical world from the spirit world, you know who your parents are going to be. You know the
Mhm.
course you're going to be on. You know what you want to learn. You might come forward because you want to learn compassion. And that's one of the things that you want to learn. And maybe one of your children in the spirit world says, I'll help you, mom, with that.
Hmm.
So we're going to come in and I'm going to come in and kind of do this. And you're like, okay, that'd be great. That'd be great, honey. We'll do that. You come in and we'll do that. And then I'll be able to, because it's your child. Your
Mhm.
child, when you're in the spirit world with your child, you know that this is your soul family for you have, this is, you're connected. So you're just going to come in and have this little time in life in the physical world. And you want to elevate your soul a little bit, grow your soul a little bit. And your child actually says, I'll help you, mom, with that.
Mm. I
It's
thought,
done
yeah.
in love. It's done
Mhm.
in love. And it's to help you in an area in your life. And having a miscarriage, hasn't it changed you?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yep.
a miscarriage or anything like, doesn't that change us? Doesn't it
Yes.
make us think differently? Doesn't it help us appreciate things differently? Doesn't it help us look at life differently? Doesn't it make us feel it's fragile? Doesn't it give you that?
Mhm.
Your baby did that for you,
Mhm. True. True.
So they take on those roles to be a part of this. So that was their place. That is what they were supposed to do.
Mhm. And maybe
And
they
they
didn't
know
wanna
that, and
have a long life.
but it was, but that is how they chose to play that role together with you at this time.
At
They
this
know
time.
they're
Yeah.
going to see you again in a
Right.
hot second,
Yeah, that's true.
and you knew that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you knew that too. So you together said, okay, this is what we're going to do. You'll come in as my daughter, and you're going to come in. Now I'm going to have this experience, and this is going to elevate me in some way, and I'm going to have to work through this.
Mm-hmm.
this loss, this grief, and this is going to help me some way, and I'm going to grow from this experience. And
Mm-hmm.
your your child participated in that
It was a
with
gift, I
you,
guess.
for you,
Yep.
100%.
Mhm.
So we have to think bigger.
I agree. Yep. And once you start
Whenever
bigger,
the
yeah,
so much more open,
yes.
because now you're open to bigger, and then you
Mhm.
can start seeing a better understanding of how things really work,
Mhm.
and everything is a blessing and a gift.
Mhm. And that this is temporary. I know they say
Yeah,
everything changes, and that's true. Like even this grief will not be how it is forever. Like you
no,
will see them, and we have to kind of remember that even though we're sad right now, it's not going to be like that forever. And that will really open everything up because we can get so focused on right now. This is forever, and it's not forever.
yeah, it's not forever, and it's just it's we have eternity.
Hmm. Yep. That's
We have
forever.
eternity. That's forever.
Right.
So, and in eternity, we want to elevate our soul. We want to learn things. We want to have expression. We want to experience. And if we only experience everything that was pleasant,
Hmm.
we're limited in our growth. So
Hmm.
we have to experience things that are painful, things that are hurtful, things that create grief in us.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
That's
that's
so true.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it helps elevate us. So when we go back to the spirit world, and
Yep.
we hug all of our loved ones and our children and our family members and our friends, it's kind of like, oh, we just got off this great boot camp,
Hmm.
like but you did it all together.
Hmm. That's
So
true.
each one of us have helped each other.
Hmm. Yep.
And when we can see it as a bigger picture, you know, um, we begin to open up a lot more, and we understand the process a little bit better, and it helps the grief too.
I agree. I agree. It's so important. It's so important to understand that big picture because when you're in the grief, it's too overwhelming.
It's
But
hard.
once you take a step back, and if you can talk to someone like you, um, that is just, one of those light bulb moments, I think, for everybody. Okay, my last
Thank
question.
you, Amy.
Thank you for all you do. My last question, thank you so much for doing this, is what have you learned about living from, I guess, the dead?
Mm, don't take stuff so serious.
Mm-hmm.
Lighten up,
Like
loosen
that.
up,
Yep.
play more, play more,
Yes.
play more, have more fun. You know, go for the things that make you happy. Try, take,
Take
go
chance.
for it. What's the biggest thing you got to go for it? Like,
Yeah.
follow what makes you happy. Follow the fun.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Follow the fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. I totally agree. One of the things that Denny did say to my dad was from you is to just enjoy life and relax. And
Yeah.
I think
See?
that's exactly it. I think because they probably wish they would have done that too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And sometimes you'll get loved ones that come in from the other side who share their own life experience.
Hmm.
And it's always so intelligent on who comes in from the spirit world when the person is needing help in a certain area in their life. And sometimes it is so not who you think it's going to
So
be.
random.
And then you hear it, it's like, oh, like
Oh,
just did a reading the other day, and it was someone going through stuff. It was her little mentor in high school, like
huh.
a teacher mentor that came
Yeah.
in that she didn't see it coming at all, out of left
Yeah.
field. And
Yeah.
here she was to help her. And it was like you don't know, like their life experience can help us.
Right.
So
Right.
they will help us with that, but they're never going to tell you what to do.
Okay. Okay. They're like the perfect
That's
parent.
exactly. That's on you.
Yeah.
It's up to you, but they're just here to express a little something, give you something to ponder and think about, see if it resonates. It's for you to make the decision.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, I love that. Okay. Well, I hope this helps a lot of other people who had some major curiosity about your life and how you deal with this and what this is like for you and all these fun little questions. So thank you so much for all
Thank
that you do.
you. I think
So
it was
fun.
awesome that you wanted to do this. This is amazing. I hope everyone enjoyed the questions and you asked some good
Me
ones.
too. Thank you.
And amazing. You're the bestest of the best.
No, you are.
I love it.
All right. Thanks, Monica.
See you.